All right, and welcome back to the TV show, joined as always by Angelo Cataldi. Hello, Angelo.
How are you today, Jay? We're still trying to find Rhea. She may be jumping in at some point, but this is our year-end show, and we got lots of great stuff we want to talk about.
So much to get to. Real fast, before we jump into it, two bits of business that are important. I think that we are at the point, Angelo, next year, starting our new year, we should add video to the podcast. This has been a sticking point for 15 weeks. I think now that we are on week 16, we should start 2023 with video. What do you think? You with me on that?
I don't see how we have been able to deny all of our loyal people the opportunity to see my nose every week. So I'm on board 100%.
All right, so that we're going to be starting next week with that, just a bit of show business. And finally, before we get started, I found out something today, and I want to put this out to all of the listeners. I need your help. I have found out that Hallmark sold my movie to Germany this Christmas, which means, yes, well, that means, first off, I'll be getting 16 Deutschmarks in the mail. But more importantly, it is dubbed into German, which means that there is an actor playing me in German on the German version of this movie, and I need to get a hold of it somehow.
Yeah.
So if you know anybody in Germany, or if you're able to get German Netflix or whatever it's on, please email me, jay@jblack.tv. I need to hear my voice as it's dubbed into German. I think this could be very fun for us. So
absolutely. Love it. Love it. Love it.
All right. So let's jump into our list, Angelo. It's the end of the year. So we decided, well, actually you decided, because nobody knows radio better than you. Let's do a year-end show. And I thought it was great. So I just kept your format and went with it. So let's start with the best movie. Now, I assume you meant movie both in theaters and or on TV, or did you just mean TV movie?
I meant a movie that it just one self-contained show, self-contained. So it didn't have to be in the movie theaters, but the people involved could be nominated for Academy Awards. So I think now streamers, you don't even have to actually be in the movie theater. But I only did it because I wanted to talk about this movie, which frankly, I haven't been able to because it came on way before we started the podcast. And it's the best movie of the year, regardless of streamer, in theaters, anywhere. And it's Hustle, starring Adam Sandler.
Great movie. Agreed. I don't know if I'd agree it's best movie of the year, but I love it.
Come on, it most certainly is. And the thing that I love about it is that it is so Philadelphia. It is just, he is a scout out working for the NBA, and he's based here in our city. And we see all these great shots of Manayunk and the wall, and it has similarities to Rocky, but it's just wonderful. It's an amazing movie. It's my favorite Adam Sandler movie of all time. And I know that anybody that listens to our radio show would know how great this movie is, because we just couldn't stop talking about it when it was on. And even now at the end of the year, nothing to me came close to Hustle on Netflix starring Adam Sandler.
Well, I very much enjoyed that movie, and I'm gonna do another Netflix movie for my choice. And this could be recency bias, because I did see this in the theater, but I watched it again over the holiday when it came out on Netflix. And I'm going to say Glass Onion, the Knives Out mystery on Netflix. Have you seen that yet, Angelo?
I saw the first one. I have not seen the second one. It has gotten at best mixed reviews.
Right. Now, here, I might have an issue with it because I did see it in the theater with everyone dialed in. So every laugh got a huge laugh. Every reversal got a huge gasp. I rewatched it with my family, and it held up. If Netflix, this is a holdover from old-timey Netflix, and I say old-timey, I mean like 3 or 4 years ago, when their whole modus operandi was, let's grab a filmmaker, give them $300 million and just let them do whatever they want. and that has provided mixed results. But Ryan Johnson, if he just makes Knives Out Mysteries until the end of his life, I will be happy.
Yeah, Daniel Craig, we only know him as James Bond. I can only relate to the first one. He was terrific in the first Glass Onion. So I'm going to assume he was great in it. Whenever it's a second movie, how many times is it good enough? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, if you just adjust your expectation down to you're going to spend 2 hours happy, which is what more, I don't need anything more than that. It doesn't need to move me into a new dimension. 2 hours of pure happiness is fine by me. And that's what Glass Onion did. So I suggest it heavily. All right. Next up, best TV miniseries. I have a feeling we have the same one for this, but I want to hear what yours is before we
again, not difficult for me. Also Netflix, The Good News, the Good Nurse, starring Jessica Chastain. I just loved it. I thought it was terrific. It did not get the buzz so many other movies got, the TV miniseries got, and it was like 6 parts, and it had me riveted the whole time. I thought it was fantastic.
I have not seen that yet. Under your recommendation, I will be watching it, but having not seen it, my choice is The Offer on Paramount Plus.
Great. Also great.
Which I think we talked about last week. It did go an episode too long, so it wasn't perfect. But when I think about the whole year and I think about like a self-contained story that really riveted me, The Offer was my top of my list.
Yeah, I actually picked The Good Nurse over it because I'm becoming more British. In all honesty, Jay, the more I watch TV miniseries, and I watch a ton of them, the more important it is to me that it be tight, that it not be so loose that you could see they're going out of their way to pad it. And that was the problem with The Offer. It got 9 was a great ending for it. And now we come back with 10, which is nothing. It's totally anticlimactic and kind of gave me a worse taste for the whole series. Although I absolutely loved the acting in it. And I loved the whole concept of learning so much more about how they made Godfather.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's such a cultural touchstone, and it was great. And Miles Teller, I'm fairly certain not only is he one of the best actors that we have, 9 times out of 10, whenever my wife is kissing me, she's thinking about him. But I'll take it.
You take it. Just whatever works. Once they start seeing us on video next week, they'll understand why we're talking that way, Jay.
But on a quick side note, we just watched Maverick. Which I know you didn't like, but my wife hadn't seen it yet, and she has always I learned piano over COVID, and I kept thinking she'll find me sexy because I'm playing an instrument, and she finally admitted to me, not a sexy instrument. Well, there's that scene in Maverick when Miles Teller playing Great Balls of Fire like his dad in the original. And I turned to my wife and I said, "Is it sexy?" And she said, "Yes." So I found out not the instrument, it's the man playing.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem for you long term. I'm having
long term. Absolutely. It
probably is.
All right. So let's talk best actor and actress across television over the course of this year. Who's your best actor, Angelo?
All right. Well, Miles Teller obviously has to be in the conversation because
100%
great in that, right? But I'm going to give the nod. It's funny because this guy played so different characters in White Lotus 1 and now in Chippendales. I'm giving it to Murray Bartlett.
Wow.
Because, first of all, he had me when he pooped in the suitcase in White Lotus 1. I just thought that was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen.
100%
movies in my life. But now he's this cool choreographer, still gay. He's gay in both the shows, but in this one, he's this cool choreographer, and he's just phenomenal in it. When he is on the screen, the charisma this man has and the way he sells what he's doing, it's fantastic. It's the reason to watch the Chippendales thing on Hulu, which is very good. Kumail Nanjiani is the main guy in it, and he's fantastic.
Great.
But Murray Bartlett, to me, is stealing every scene because he's just so charismatic. I loved him in it, and I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that he had pooped in the suitcase. It meant a lot to me that he did that.
To be able to do funny and cool is difficult. My choice, it's kind of a cheat because Succession ended in December of 2021, but he did do a movie called Armageddon Time that came out it was middling, but he was great in it. I just want to give him a shout out because I do think he's the best actor on TV, and that's Jeremy Strong, who plays Kendall on Succession. And he had that New Yorker write-up where they basically they said we're all in a comedy, but he's in a drama and doesn't realize it. And I get it. I get he's full of himself, he's in his head and all that, but my God, Kendall is the most layered character on TV. He's doing three emotions at once every time he opens his mouth, and it's a clinic. And I know it's Dustin Hoffman, 1971. There's that famous story of Dustin Hoffman where he was there with Laurence Olivier and he was trying to get in the moment, and Laurence Olivier said, "My dear boy, have you ever thought about just acting?"
No, but I read that profile. It's one of the best Hollywood profiles I've ever read. And while I'm not a fan of Succession, the man suffers for his art. I mean, to such an extent that he is over the top with his prep. And you're right, maybe others don't need that. Olivier didn't need it. But if that's what it takes to get to where you are and what you're doing on the screen, all the power to you for doing it. I respect that tremendously.
And I love the show, and I think the big part of it is just how good he is. Now, my best actress, Angelo, I don't know if have you watched The Dropout on Hughes?
Yes, I certainly have. It's great.
It's great, and I think it is a one-woman show. And I'm just shocked because Amanda Seyfried, who was the third mean girl in Mean Girls, you look at the three of them, she has had the most varied and best career out of all four of them. And it's shocking because you wouldn't have thought that going in, because she's been on TV for a while. But The Dropout is a bravura performance by Amanda Seyfried, and she is just phenomenal in it. Love it. I buy her as a college student. I buy her as a manipulator. I buy her vulnerability. Her eyes are unblinking and enormous. Just a great performance from a great actress. She's my choice for top.
It's a great performance. And, I had followed the story of Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes, who is the CEO who conned the world until she got caught.
Yep.
And it made me hate Elizabeth Holmes more than I already hated her from reading a whole book about it. She was so good in how she represented the lack of integrity that woman had, and how that woman was so focused on her own success. She didn't care who was victimized. It was a great performance, and it should have been my best actress, but it failed to beat the single greatest performance I've ever seen in an episode by an actress. Better Call Saul, second to last episode, Rhea Seehorn,
fantastic.
Saul's wife. Did they ever get married? Wife or girlfriend or whatever?
I think they did get married. Yeah, I think
there's a scene in a bus where if you want to see incredible acting and how this woman is tormented by everything she did in 6 seasons of Better Call Saul, and it's all hitting her in this rental car bus.
Yep.
And the way she just suddenly comes to terms with all the things she did wrong, and the tears welling up in her. That woman is one great actress. And I was hoping Rhea would be here, our Rhea Hughes, so I could honor the name Rhea, because I've only known of 2 Rheas, and this one and that performance in Better Call Saul. And I don't even think Rhea Seehorn's gotten any acclaim for playing that part, Wexler, Wexler. I can't remember her full name. And I just it was great. And
her claim is going to be she's the lead of the new Vince Gilligan show that's coming out. So
Kim Wexler, that's what her name, Kim. She was just wonderful in the whole series. And this was her big moment. She was great.
All right. So best documentary. This was we've talked about this. We're in a golden age
Oh,
of documentaries. There's nothing but good stuff. I went a little left field for mine. I want to hear yours first, though.
all right. I'm sticking with Hulu, and it's just phenomenal. It's only 4 episodes. It's called We Need to Talk About Cosby by
Yeah.
W. Kamau Bell. And it's this he's a great stand-up in his own right. And he talks about the great influence that Bill Cosby had on his career.
Yep.
And how he came to terms with the fact that his hero was a fraud.
Yep.
And it is so brilliantly put together as he takes you through all of the, how he fought against it initially and then eventually came to terms with the fact that Bill Cosby had done all these horrible things. And he unmasked them, and he did it in such a compelling and interesting way. We need to talk about Cosby. I've seen a lot of great documentaries this year, but this one I knew was the best.
What I'll tell you is, first, Bill Cosby is the reason why I'm a stand-up comic, because
Wow.
when I was 7 years old, I watched Bill Cosby himself on HBO and watched my father laugh hysterically and said, I don't know what's happening, but I want to do that. I want to make my dad laugh like Bill Cosby did. Secondly, what's brilliant about that documentary is he recreates in the documentary what it felt like to learn about Cosby, in the sense that we start with him, we get an idea of how important he was, how great he was, the level, and then each time the women start talking, and you keep wanting to go like, I don't believe it, and then every woman has the same story in the same way again and again, and by the third or fourth episode, you're just like, he did it. There's no.
It was so good. It was I don't even know that he's done documentaries, but it was brilliant. Yeah. And I say to W. Kamau Bill, in addition to all the other stuff he does, he should do those, because I don't know anybody who did it better. He was phenomenal.
Great choice. Mine is a YouTube documentary by a guy named Cody Johnston, who does a series called Some More News on YouTube. It is a very political show. It's basically like Last Week Tonight with more cursing.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
I like cursing.
It's good cursing. He's very left wing, so I'm going to dance around the politics of this, but he did a show that was a documentary that was very interesting to me called "Why Aren't Conservatives Funny?"
And that is good. Yeah, that's good.
It basically came out in the wake of the Gutfield show, Gutfield!
Oh yeah, Fox. He's on Fox.
It's the most popular late night talk show because of the politics, not the comedy. I feel like I'm able to speak about the comedy here. Gutfeld, not great comedy.
No, but that Republicans tend to, again, I'm not trying to get political, they tend to take themselves extremely seriously, which is really good for comedy.
Very good if you're attacking them, not so good if you are one.
Exactly.
And he does a really good breakdown of the right-wing comedy, and it sort of dovetails what we were talking about with Sebastian Maniscalco last week, and some of the stuff that he was doing, which the second you start punching down, there's a moment when it stops being funny. And honestly, George Carlin always hit people above him, never people below him. And I won't get too into it because I don't want to get political, but check out Some More News. It's a series on YouTube by Cody Johnston. It comes out every week, and that episode in particular I consider to be an hour-and-a-half documentary worth your time. All right. Moving on to non-politics, because we don't want to get letters, Angelo. Best binge, best sit down, watch the whole thing in a sitting or two. What do you got?
Wow, I'm relentless about this, and I'll never stop until everybody watches it. Wentworth on Netflix, Australian prison, women in prison. Doesn't sound like something you would like. You will not spend your time better on any binge than Wentworth on Netflix. If you don't want to go in that direction, I binged the whole 15 seasons of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it is great. It is more modern day Seinfeld, and it is terrific. but Wentworth is the best binge and the best use of your time possible on streaming anywhere in the world. Thank you.
I will. My New Year's resolution is to watch at least 2 seasons before we talk to each other again, Angelo.
Please, please, it will blow your doors off.
I went with one we talked about all since it came out, and then on the podcast, I think it's come up 5 or 6 times. The Bear on Hulu.
Love it. Love it.
It's a relentless show. It's only 8 or 9 episodes. I can't remember, but it doesn't crack 10. And you sit down and you don't even realize sometimes that the next episode has started because there's so much energy from episode to episode. So if you're looking for a while to kill, choose Angelo's. If you're looking for 4 hours and you just it's New Year's Eve and you're not quite as drunk as you want to be, drink and watch The Bear. You'll be a happy person.
Sounds good. Will do.
All right. So the best streamer, overall streamer, Apple TV, Netflix, Hulu. What do you got, Angelo?
It was a very close race for me between Netflix and Hulu. And Hulu won it for me because it's had more good stuff.
Yeah.
The Bear, #1. Then White Lotus 2, which I just finished. Oh my God, is that good?
It's great, isn't it?
You told me about this. Now, White Lotus 1 was okay. I wasn't in love with it. White Lotus 2, I couldn't wait to see who the dead body was in the water. They start with that. You see a dead body in the water. And boy, did I love it. I loved it way more than 1. And I really love the woman on the beach with the freckles.
Yeah.
Her name is Megan Fahey, and wow, is she hot. She's just spectacular. That's my type. All right. And but I loved it. And they had Fleischman is in Trouble. That's on Hulu. Yep. There's a whole bunch of great things on Hulu.
Yeah, the reboot is on Hulu this year, which we all enjoyed.
Yeah. And The Bear is, of all of them, The Bear was the best of that. And Hulu was terrific this year, and it gets my best.
Yeah, that was my choice as well. And it was between Hulu and Netflix for me. I feel like Hulu is trying in a way that Netflix isn't.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is Netflix still has, we talk about Netflix a lot. They produce a lot of great stuff. It feels like Netflix is still doing volume. And when they get a hit, it's almost by accident, because if you greenlight 10,000 things, 5 of them are going to be great. It feels like Hulu's whole modus operandi is let's try to make something great every time. And if we fail, it'll be a noble failure. And I like that. It's replaced HBO for me as if it's on Hulu, I'm pretty sure it's going to be good.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned HBO, because even though I didn't put it on the list of bests and worst, HBO and HBO Max is the worst, because it's such a massive disappointment.
Yes.
How little really quality viewing they have provided us in the past year. I'm stunned by it, because they used to be so good and now they're not.
It used to be you bought it because Sunday night you knew something great was going to be on HBO. It was always Sunday for 20 years. It was the best thing you could get. And now it's barely an afterthought.
Wow. And you've explored on this podcast the corporate issues that are killing it right now.
David Zasloff, man, he's just he's not doing he's counting pennies, and HBO never did that. And that's what made HBO worth your time. All right, so best English offering. I got to tell you, this was hard for me to come up with, and I wish Rhea was here to help us out. What was your choice for best English offering?
I guess The Crown. I don't really watch that much English TV. I was honestly going to completely slough off on this. I'll say The Crown for this reason. All right, I've been reading about it, and it sounds like I love Dominic West, and I guess he's playing Prince Charles, and before he was the king. Right. And I love the girl who is playing Princess Di. I haven't actually seen it, so I'm faking it here. But I would say that my wife watches it and really loves The Crown, so I would give you The Crown.
I'm going to go Great British Bake Off, because it's the only British show I watch regularly. So it has to be in my top 10. I got to tell you, there's something particularly British about this. They've tried twice now with American versions of this. ABC tried it a few years ago and it flopped. I mean, it went a couple of seasons, but it didn't make an impact. And Roku this Christmas tried to do an American Bake Off holiday edition like they do, with Ellie Kemper hosting. And even though they brought in the judges from England, didn't work for me. It's got to be England. It's got to be Noel Fielding as the host, and it's got to be a bunch of weirdo British people baking for no money or prize. There's something special about that show. I just love it. It's like taking a warm bath. You go in and you forget about life for a while, and it's great.
All right. By the way, I have an update on Rhea. She thought we were off for Christmas. So,
okay.
You know what? I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not even going to try to fake it on teen options. She knows more than I do. I'm going to pass on that topic.
Well, I'll tell you then. My choice is Enola Holmes for best teen, and I have a 12-year-old girl who has watched both Enola Holmes 1 and 2 multiple times. It is fun. It's the best kind of fun in the sense that your teenage girl will watch it and want to be Enola Holmes, which is not a bad thing. And you can watch it and just enjoy it as kind of a fun mystery. It's light and airy, and it's great if you have teenage girls. Watch it.
And I've been assured Rhea Hughes will return with us next week because we miss her daily. She's awesome. Yeah,
she is fantastic. And she just texted me. I'm going to write her back and say the only thing we're upset about is not having her.
Yeah.
All right. Biggest waste of time.
Yeah. And this is another reason why I picked Hulu over Netflix. Blockbuster. You can understand. I love everything about how there's still one Blockbuster hanging on in Oregon. And when I heard they were going to do a TV series, 10 episodes of it, I said, there's almost no way I won't love this. And then I watched it and I hated it. And what? I mean, they did 10 episodes of nothing. It was awful. Rhea saw it, hated it. I think you hated it.
Yes, I did.
The biggest waste of time. This is an example of Netflix just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping it hits. And by the way, they canceled it. It will not have a second season because everybody knew it stunk. It was my biggest way. I only got to the second episode and said, I will not go further with this. It's brutal.
It was terrible. I agree with you. And but my choice is one that it did well. People liked it. But no one is talking about it, which means that it was a whiff, considering that Amazon spent probably in the vicinity of $1 billion, all things considered, to get the Lord of the Rings up on their channel. Now, do you know anybody that's seen Lord of the Rings, Angelo, or talk about it on a regular basis?
I know they spent a ton of money. I don't know anyone. And you know what? It's even an indictment of Amazon Prime. We didn't mention anything they did all year. What did they do this year? They have the most money, don't they?
They have the most money, and they have a directive from Jeff Bezos to make this thing happen. And they spent $1 billion, and no one talks about it. There's no one.
Awful.
Now, and you could say maybe I'm not the right, demographic. Maybe kids are talking about it. If you spend $1 billion on something, like, listen, I'm sure you don't watch Avatar, Angelo, but you know it exists.
Yes, I do. People are talking about it. Nobody even talked. That's $1 billion no one talked about. That's
$1 billion no one talked about. They spent $1 billion for the same ratings that they probably would have gotten if they had done a third Fire Festival documentary.
Jeez, I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So, I think it was a waste of time for all involved. And listen, if you like the show, tell me that I'm dumb. Write in. But no one talks about your show. So you messed up. You got to get people to talk about it. Spend $500 million and then spend $500 million on marketing next time if you're going to do that.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's our year-end review. Angelo, we got through without Rhea, but next week we get her back. So that's
I want one last thing.
Oh, you got one last thing? What is that?
The best podcast that talks television.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to it right now. And listen to me. I've been in radio a long time. I love television. I think you know that.
Yeah.
Get the word out to people. We want more and more people to hear this. We want byplay with people. We want, I'll accept your emails at any time at radioman610@gmail.com. We are giving you honest opinions from people who love television. These are voices of the fans. Jay's more than that. He writes for television as well. But get the word out to people, because I honestly believe we are doing the best job of covering television on a week-to-week basis on any podcast, and I know there's a million of them. Get the word out. We want more
Please,
people
yes.
to hear this. This is fun to do. It's a labor of love. Nobody's making any money on this, but it's something for you, the people that watch TV. And don't hesitate to let us know if we're doing something you don't like. Get the word out. We want more people to hear this.
That is a good New Year's resolution. If you're listening, tell 300 people. And if you don't know 300 people, make friends. This is win-win for everybody.
Yes, exactly, Jeff.
Angelo, it was a great year. It was truly a blessing. I got to work with you and Rhea for the last half of the year here, and I'm looking forward to 2023, man. I really appreciate it.
Should be great. Love doing this. This is really a labor of love. We loved it. We love TV and we love doing this podcast.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Angelo. I'm trying to figure out how to, oh, here we go. Stop recording.